We are in another a little bit exotic location. That's at Tempelhofer, Feld in Berlin.
Exactly. It's very difficult to imagine, but we are in a very small, I would say like a commune garden or something like that. It's basically like a, I think you have it in Russian as well, right?
In Russian, it's called огород.
Огород. It's very beautiful. And then it's in the middle of an airport, an abandoned airport, which has so many historical quirks to it because it used to be part of the city planning of the Nazis, but had then also relevance later on in the post-Nazi times of Germany.
One of the most beautiful places here, and I believe that that's my most loved place in Berlin.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's interesting, yeah. I like the fact that we were talking about the post-productivity human when we are on the airport, which is a post-productivity airport.
Yeah.
And you can really see that even though there is no use for this place, people reinvent. So let me give a high-level overview of what topics we kind of chosen to excavate this time. And as you guys know, Archaeology of Now, our topics are now and our methods are ancient. So we're trying to excavate today a topic which is, I would say, on their intersection of the usual technical topics and the anthropological perspective. It's the topic of, in general, I would coin it somewhere in the realms of purpose, autonomy, and what the role of humans is in this new world we're building. It's also immediately the first interesting part. We are building this world and still asking the question, what's going on? Yeah, it's about agency. So let me actually cut the first question and we can delve into it immediately. By the way, delve, right?
Yeah.
So the first topic you actually picked, I'm reordering them a little bit, but the one I dived into a bit quite some time the past days is the idea of preference cocoons.
Yep.
And I have to say in the beginning, I was questioning what it actually means. And the deeper I went into this rabbit hole, it's not a complex idea, but if you think about what it means, yeah, it has some depth to it. And I don't know, maybe you want to give the definition of it, or I can also like,
please.
okay, no worries. So basically I have a big description here, but I will try to summarize it in what I think it is. I would say the best way to explain it is to draw a parallel to so-called echo chambers, information bubbles, or however you want to call them. I think different languages have different terms. The idea that you are feeding in your informational bias and basically redigesting the same information over and over again to an extent where even the people you're surrounding yourself with have the same kind of biases as you. I mean, every human comes with different biases, but and the preference cocoon is the general umbrella term of the idea that in a world where more and more decisions are being taken over by AI systems, let's call them agents, just to simplify it, they will also have a feedback loop where they in a similar manner are feeding back information, actions, suggestions, the whole palette of things the humans will consume, which are tailored for your preferences. So like one of the interpretations is you end up in a cocoon of what you find comfortable.
Like cyberpunk dystopia when you see the dreams you want to see.
Exactly.
Nothing else.
Exactly. What was it called? Dream dance or something like that?
Yeah.
I think there it's still very... Sorry?
Brain dance. You mean it's...
Brain dances, yeah, exactly. I think there it's still pretty active. You still choose to watch it, right?
Yeah.
I think the very naive perspective on this preference cocoons, it was the first thing which came to my mind, is the idea that it might leave us humans without any challenges because the agents or the AI are kind of packaging everything.
Yeah. But it's It's the same idea from the videos you suggested for today.
Yeah.
In one of it, I think, in the second one, it was an idea of like this dystopian future where AI is the most clever.
Mm-hmm.
We are starting losing our agency because we are not
Yeah.
going to know who we are as long as we are not the smartest one. Actually, I never, for a long time, I didn't think I'm the smartest one for sure. Maybe the worst are furious.
That's an interesting point, whether smartness or intelligence or problem-solving skills, whatever, is a measure of our self-worth also in some ways.
Yes, that was my main thought when I was reading through article which was attached to this video, and I was thinking, but I don't feel myself being the smartest. Maybe because I was for some long period inside environments where there are a lot of other much smarter people than I am. So starting from my school, and I was totally okay with being like not so smart, not the stupid, but definitely far from the top 5%. I don't know. I'm not sure that it's really a big problem.
I also don't I kind of understand the smartness as a measure of self-worth. I understand where people are coming from who think this way. I have to say I'm very often a victim to this thought myself. I measure myself by smartness, but the kind of like boundary between whether I'm measuring my self-worth or whether I'm just curious is a little bit like a gradient. It's not clear where it starts and where it ends. Yeah, I was recently thinking a lot. I mean, there's a very, very typical way to think about it in terms of like what other dimensions are there in the whole concept of creating value, right? It's still in the same direction as thinking about, hey, who's smarter? But creating value is, I think, a more broad term, because smartness, in my opinion, is, even though you can use it also for different fields, it's very much for like problem solving. It's very aligned with like intelligence. And creativity, for example, you could also interpret it as some kind of smartness, but for me it points in a different direction. And one other one would be, for example, emotional intelligence, but in a broader way, not in a that you are good with people, but also be able to understand what are the needs of people and how to inspire them. Every one of these comes with good and bad things, by the way, right? Like creativity, which can create, can also go around rules and corrupt, and leadership can manipulate, right? And
I was never thinking about creativity as a way to overcome rules and corrupt.
I was. That's a little bit of off topic. We should introduce, by the way, the concept of vetoing. I think we should change the topic. I want to just, as an anecdote, I had this idea once. I'm a big believer in systems which have error correction built into them. And even though I probably will collect a lot of haters for declaring myself a big fan of capitalism, at least to the deep mechanism of it, of creating price signals and competition and stuff like that. I was thinking back then about whether we can have the same mechanisms in different fields. And I thought about, there are so many lawyers who are so creative and genius in building these constructs and going around regulations to, for example, help you with your tax saving, right, schemes.
From other side, it's a way to improve your regulation.
Exactly. So I thought, for me, it was a very natural way to borrow a concept we have in engineering, which is called bug bounty, where people who find bug or issues, right, ethical hackers are getting paid. We should have ethical tax fraud lawyers.
Why not?
Yeah, so why I said that is like, it's also a part of creativity. So whether creativity is good or bad, or any of these are good or bad, is based on the system in which it's acting. So the article is mainly talking about what the impacts of this cocooning could mean, right? But I think that you can actually step back quite a bit and think about what preferences actually are, and how an agent, whatever AI agent, could take a role in the human life. So I think the get start is to think about what are possible symbiotic relationships between an agent and us. What kind of assistant role could they take, right, in planning our life? And one of the most common ways to put it were the idea that, for example, an assistant could know what you want before you want it.
Kind of, yeah.
Right, we have that already, suggestion systems, and we have that baked into specific products. But what would it mean about your preferences if you are being suggested and even quite confronted with the fact that you're predictable?
Yes, but it's there are a lot of talks, like a little bit. I'll start from a little bit far. There are a lot of talks now about how world would look like when AGI comes, if it comes, and they all seems to be a little bit delusional for me, because they all assume that like AGI as tech, whatever tech it will be, will change the world as it works. But world is a kind of quite balanced system. If you look at this like from economy, let's say, if you have some new tech which increases productivity very much, it doesn't mean that everybody stops working. It means that we as a society usually start producing more. Like, let's say 100 something years ago, Europe has something like 30%, if I'm not mistaken, of agriculture in GDP, which basically mean that land meant a lot at that time, because this agricultural part was linearly connected to the amount of land you have.
Of course.
So every country needs a lot of land to just feed itself. Now it's like 10 times less. It's around 3 or 4%. So we no longer depend on the land. So you can have a like very huge economy with not so much land, because you don't need land anymore. And what I want to say is that although we have this dramatic increase in productivity in terms of agriculture, like in 10 times increase, it's insane. We are, all of us in general in society, we're still doing a lot of work. We are not sitting in some kind of paradise when we get all the food for free. So that's what I mean in terms of all of this stuff that's going on, that it wouldn't change the way the society is organized so much, because it basically just adjusted a little bit. It may be it may have a huge impact on the productivity in a ways. It may dramatically change the way we do some part of work. We may lose some professions at all, and there will be a new professions and all of this stuff. But I don't think it will be like so much life changing that we will start living in some very new world. And
I have a question there. My question is a little bit of a devil's advocate style question. Let's say, and what is the prediction? I think most of the advanced AI companies, big tech AI companies, are predicting reaching some kind of AGI self-improving system. I think they're timing it at around 2030, which is only 5 years away, right?
Yeah,
With, I think, some people like Dennis Hasabi estimating it at around shortly after 30s. Sergey Brin with like earlier than 30s, and
yeah, but I most of all in these terms I like what Andrew Karpathy said in his video, one which we choose for today. He told that like 12 years ago or 13 years ago, he had an experience driving a self-driving car, and at that moment it was like perfect in the Palo Alto area, and he was thinking that it will be definitely a thing.
Yes.
But still, here we are.
Yeah.
We have a huge progress in this.
Yeah.
We don't have it. And he says that it's not 2025 being a year of agents. It will be likely a decade of agents. And I regarding AGI, I think it's even worse in terms of.
100%, I agree. Also, Dennis Hasabi was explicitly saying that even though he thought that the technology will be at some point of maturity, in that, because I see also the whole agentic idea of machine learning as one continuum. For me, all these different methodologies, they are working together, and I'm not a LLM superiority kind of person who thinks that, oh wow, with cracking language we cracked everything. I think there are many layers to it. But the point is that he said, hey, we will reach it at around 30s. Still, it will take probably somewhat around like a decade or more for it to also
Take over.
exactly take over, especially in the industries, right?
Of course.
Because the thing is, the bottleneck is probably not only the technology itself, right? The bottleneck is the flexibility you have in the organizations and the institutions. My devil's advocate question was that imagine we reach a point where we have AGI, right? We solved, let's say, what we now know about the question of intelligence, right? We actually don't want to be like too optimistic. We actually opened more questions than before. We understand there's so much to explore, but we solved, for example, planning. Right? Let's say we have systems which kind of like with minimal feedback of humans, quite autonomously are doing all the planning, the breaking down of problems, and also the execution. So not a lot of humans is needed. Maybe a couple of, let's say, CEO, executive level people who can give a bit of like an intuition. Maybe some data pipeline where people are being kind of like consumed their intuition of, or something like that. And let's say also we start the era of robotics where also human labor is replaced. What are we left with? What kind of role can a human take in that machinery of economy we have currently?
Honestly, I think you already have an answer inside your question, because as you mentioned, as long as we solved this problem, we discovered more problems. Like, there was a story, I don't know if it's true or just a made-up story about Descartes, and that that at some point some of his students asked him some question, and he thought for a long time, and then he asked, "So you are such a genius, you know so much, and you invented so many things, but why do you think so long about it?" And he said that, imagine like this area, and when you ask something you need to cover it all to make your answer. I know like a little bit more, so my time to process this is even more. So what I want to say that
this reminds me of this hitchhiker. What is this book called? I forget always the title, but the Hitchhiker Guide Through the Galaxy, yes, exactly. Where this machine is thinking about billions of years and then spits out the. Who says that we even understand the answer, right?
Exactly. That's the whole irony of the answer, that it's such dense that you cannot even understand it fully because it's too dense.
It would be funny if the humans ask the Oracle computer what we should do, and the computer just answers, continue.
Yeah. And then you say, but come on, it seems that you mistake, and he will say, of course you're right, thank you so much for clarifying.
Maybe the actual purpose is to feel good about it.
Actually, beside joking, this is an interesting topic to talk about. There's too much proactivity about agents, but going back to the story and to your devil's advocate question. So I think that as long as we discover some new frontiers and new questions will arise, which we can't even imagine right now, that will be the area for the new jobs and new things to do. The same as like if we get back 200 years ago, there will be so much people involved in stuff that we are not only not doing right now, but we don't even have names for this anymore.
I want to take that point that you're basically saying on the way to solve the ultimate problem, we are creating so many problems, or so open so many questions.
Problems.
Exactly. That's the premise. I think I definitely agree with that perspective personally. What I'm not sure about is whether in the pursuit of answering the continuous questions of the future, the humans are still taking the same role as they are today in the way we know them. Currently, we know vanilla humans, humans who have given up their pursuit of survival,
Okay.
right? They kind of like started a symbiotic relationship with these big machines called societies, right, which are taking care of them, and hopefully no wars are needed to continue their, I don't know, resource dominance or something like this. We have enough countries in this world where this is not that easy. So we went into the symbiotic relationship and freed up, basically, like you said, we freed up a lot of bottlenecks. For example, we are not bound in our growth to the amount of land we have anymore. Small countries can be pretty wealthy and pretty advanced. And the question is, the future human in a symbiotic relationship with these agents which allow for planning and for cognition and many things which were exclusive to humans, do these agents allow us to stay humans as we want to be? No one, I mean, in the beginning of the 20th century, for example, we had the role of a computer, not as a machine, but as a human who is doing computation. A lot of the sciences needed people who are capable of doing long and very complicated computations by hand on paper. One interesting anecdote here is that in the Manhattan Project, obviously a lot of computations were needed. So a lot of the most talented minds we know of our history, for example, Richard Feynman as a young scientist was involved there optimizing a lot of the computation flows. What I'm trying to say is nowadays no computers exist except recreationally. Right? So you have currently people who still do some competitions where they're calculating stuff in their mind, and they probably still push the frontiers of what's possible there. But this whole system focus on this field is gone because it makes much more sense to optimize whatever algorithms are there, right? So my question is, do we still have a role in thinking in the future?
Of course, in general, of course. That's why I don't think it's like a solvable thing. I'm not sure that there is an ultimate answer for what thinking is, because thinking is always evolving. It's like a term that cannot be defined fully, because whenever you try to do this, you get to some new frontier where you need to expand it.
Yeah.
So it's like a philosophical trick inside it, in definition.
Thinking is basically like
Thinking is always...
There's different kind of thinkings.
Yes.
Do you think that, let's say, a chess engine like, I don't know, Stockfish or something like that is doing thinking, or is it computing, or where's the difference?
Kind of computing.
Where does thinking start?
Where computing ends.
So you're a believer that LLMs cannot think?
No, of course.
Machines can think at some point?
Maybe, I hope so.
You hope so. But will it be computing then, or what part of it is the non-computing magic?
I don't know.
There are actually people who believe that it's a little bit off topic, not off topic, but off our resources. Roger Penrose, for example, the great physicist, he thinks about thinking as a non-computational process. So he tries to connect it to non-computational phenomena and processes. In his case,
I enjoy the idea because we are so much into rational part of the thinking that we almost missing the rest. It's a kind of bias we have.
Yeah.
In general nowadays.
So you like the idea that to describe thinking or think about it as a non-computational thing and as a non-classical thing, to have some magic in it?
I don't think it's a kind of magic. I think it's a kind of different paradigm, because when we, in general, for quite a long time, I believe that the world can be seen through very different lenses, and there was like infinite number of these paradigms or angles of views, and they are not hierarchical in general. They are connected. They can be inside each of this domain. There can be a better or worse version, but among the domains, they are not. There is no good or bad. There is just some of them are good for some subjects, and some of them are good for different subjects. So you cannot achieve like fully full. You cannot comprehend a full picture, full understanding of whatever big subject we are talking about with using just one paradigm. And the problem is that we are very much into rational part of this stuff, and it can be used to describe, like, can you use a rational apparatus to describe love? Probably, but it will be such a bad description and such a long one and such a clumsy that you
Do you think
may
this is
want
then?
to switch to something like poetry.
Do you think that this is then maybe even opportunity for humanity
Of course.
to emancipate yourself from this hyper-focused worldview?
Well, it's a good way of thinking. Yeah, I love the optimistic way of thinking about this stuff. That you maybe finally be free from this burden of this too rational thinking, giving it up to machines that are better with it, and get back to what we were before enlightenment, like a Renaissance thing. You know?
I actually want to make a very smooth, but we're fluid. We can jump back to topics anyway. But I think this is a perfect moment to do a very smooth transition to the concept of Homo faber, Homo faber. I don't know how it's pronounced in English, but the producing, the creating man or human, which is old Latin term, and I think used all over the history, but especially in the 20th century, was a very focused term by a lot of philosophers, trying to describe human nature, like from different perspectives. And one perspective is the idea that I know it sounds a little bit pessimistic, but the reduction or reducing the human nature on what a human can produce, and disconnecting humans from the humanities is by some philosophers and sociologists is the kind of reason for all the disasters of the 20th century. So
of course,
big wars.
Kind of, yeah.
So
it's like
now,
what modernism did to us. I love this citation by Heidegger so much, that atomic bomb was but blasted at the same time when Descartes told cogito ergo sum, which means basically that when we started to think as ourselves as that the main thing we do is thinking, like rational thinking. That was the time when we created all the horrors of 20th century, like atomic bombing of Hiroshima and concentration camps.
I personally don't share the totality of that proposition. I fear that it's not necessarily that you're going down a road, but the kind of tunnel vision you have while doing it. Like the hyper
I read
focus.
It not like that it's inevitable. I read it like, if you would use only this, you end up there.
Yeah.
That like this.
Yes.
So if you only use rational thinking, you end up in concentration camp for sure.
Yes. So in that context, we've while doing some research, coined the word. I don't know. apparently it doesn't exist yet, but Homo non-faba. So the post-productivity human.
Yeah.
And that's one of the directions humanity can go to, not as a destination or as a curse, but more as emancipation of, as we emancipated ourselves from the hard survival of nature to live in civilizations and open up our time to be able to do recreational endeavors, including arts. We can in the future use our thoughts and our cognition not for the machinery of capitalism, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but not for trading it against money and seeing only the accumulation of money as the foundation for freedom, but thought becomes so marginal in its costs that everyone has access to it. No one's thoughts are necessarily needed anymore, at least for solving purely cognitive questions or problems, but everyone has it. So there is also some kind of, the human is post-productivity, but also the human, all humans are bourgeoisie in some way. It's capital for everyone.
Yeah, but if everyone is ready to share it, and first of all, if everybody has it, because it's you need to kind of train it. Like it doesn't come
For free.
out from the box.
It's actually very expensive, right?
Exactly. You need to do a lot to be a little bit clear thinking.
But everyone in the current world, in the contemporary world, all countries, without any exception, are giving the signals that this is the most important thing humanity needs, the whole hype bubble, right? Everyone is giving the signal, let's build nuclear power plants to feed it to the LLMs. They're trying to drive...
Sure that not every country, because there are lots of countries in the world.
100%. But as a general trend in global economy, there is even the
Biggest part of
polarizing...
world GDP thinks so, yeah.
Yes, and
This sense, yes,
we're
right.
trying to forcefully drive token cost as low as possible,
Yeah.
which makes it basically at some point like infrastructure in some way.
Yes.
was
I
marginal,
love this
like-
idea that tokens and LLMs are in a way like electricity.
Yeah,
Like because they have a similar
yeah,
similar properties.
yeah. I agree. The question still is human, like, let me start somewhere else. I think that a lot of the concepts we have in society, and these are concepts which are extremely fundamental to human identity, they are challengeable. What I mean by that is, for example, let's take freedom,
Yeah.
like human freedom. We think that we have the freedom of choice. Many experts don't think this way. For example, Robert Sapolsky.
I love him.
Me too.
Course.
Shout out, Robert. Love your stuff. He is a big believer and a big advocate of not thinking this way.
Yeah.
And he
has a
doesn't...
whole book about it.
Exactly. Actually, yeah. Yeah, me too. I have it at home. And he's not making a big fuss out of it. He says, like, it's obvious. Look at all the experiments we can... I mean, he says that it fundamentally changes our relationship with our actions and all that stuff, but reality is not necessarily always objective reality. There's this philosopher from California, John Searle, and he talks, he's an ontologist in philosophy, so he talks a lot about like how we create stuff. And one of the ontologies he talked about is the ontology of societal reality. I think that a lot of stuff like freedom of choice are contracts. There are less descriptions of the reality and more conventions we agree on, so we can manage and rule society. We have diverged so far away from telling ourselves that we actually don't know. I mean, science is telling something else. We have measurement devices which can, by 200 milliseconds, predict our choices.
Yeah.
That's like, either we can look in the future or we don't have the freedom of choice, right? And with big data, we actually reduced our behavior. The thing is, it's not only that we can predict our freedom,
Yep.
but we can also assimilate our freedom, because through social media we saw like echo chambers and co, and maybe with
I especially like the predict of freedom, which is a little bit contradictory
Yeah.
in its nature. It still leave you some hope for freedom, but
I think that
it's in many ways predictable.
I think there is some deep categorically freedom in there, but the majority of our behaviors are statistical in some sense.
Yeah.
So I like to imagine it as some chaotic system where a lot of the patterns we can predict, but because it's chaotic, even if you measure everything perfectly, you diverge so much on the long run from what your predictions are that the human in some sense is still pragmatically free. You need to measure that human so much that probably the measurements are affecting the decision making more than
Like quantum mechanics.
in some way. I don't have a again. It's very important. I don't have a particular opinion on it.
Okay.
It's okay for me to keep it vague as some contract with myself.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say. That I prefer to not know, because I like to live in a world where I still have some freedom.
Yeah. And in that way also, the same way as we were talking about echo chambers, or we were just mentioning it slightly, echo chambers kind of like show us the mirror and holding us the mirror and showing us like, you think that you are in the real world, but you selectively picked your environment.
Yep.
And the behavior cocoons or preference cocoons we were talking about, they will do the same, I think, on the long run. They will show us the mirror and say like, you think you know what you want, but it's actually
The
some
same
kind of...
as it happened with the social networks. When the algorithmic,
what happens to you? What happens to you if the mirror shows you that you think that you were thinking?
Not exactly got it. What do you mean?
Like, what if the mirror shows you, you think that you were planning, you think that you were thinking, but it was actually just a contract with each other. The actual thinking is now happening in the machine.
That's really a nice way of thinking. So you mean that which basically can already be happening, right? Like Nick Bostrom, the guy who were talking about superintelligence when it wasn't the hype, like 20 years ago almost. He had an article about a kind of speculative one, where he tried to prove that we are already living in simulation.
Oh, okay.
So in the thing you're speaking about is a kind of way of saying that there may be already happening something, but we are just cannot understand that it's happening. And it's like I think it was in interview with Michio Kaku, the physicist, like from early Lex Fridman's interviews. He proposed there a very beautiful idea that maybe we are already living alongside with some super developed civilization that traveling by light, because it can code itself in like a laser beam or something like this, and they are traveling like the souls traveling throughout the space right near us, but we cannot understand it because we cannot decipher these waves.
Yeah.
And
if it's like that, they could be encoded. Everything could be encoded in everything. Imagine that our thoughts or memes are just encodings.
Exactly. That's how I understood your idea that we are thinking that we thinking, but maybe it's already happening somewhere else. But of course, we can say about this in general. But if we're speaking about this when we have a particular machines that are doing something and they adjusting our behavior in this way, it's a little bit paranoid way of thinking. But why not?
But I think we can even approach it in a more primitive way. Let's pick like an engineering example. We have both experience with using this. I call them vibe coding tools. Other people call them LLM dev tooling, or however you want to call it. Cursor, for example, Claude Code. I think a lot of our viewers are probably familiar with these tools. We've used them. We've failed with them. We succeeded with them.
Of course.
And what I love is to see throughout the cohort, throughout like peers in the field, how they are kind of tweaking and navigating the slider of autonomy. I'm borrowing this term, as we know our great Kaparthi friend, he loves to coin words like vibe coding. I think he coined another one, the autonomy slider.
Yeah.
The question is how much of, like, this is actually a very weird parallel, but as the original paper, attention is all you need, stated, attention is all we need. And the autonomy slider, or deciding when we give the AI a pass to do the autopilot and when we want to hook in, what we think in the whole process is relevant and what is just needs to be auto-completed, is the same thing as paying attention to what we want to build on the long run. So I think that humans actually in some way, they're going to still build, but our time, our thinking time is actually very sparse. We only have 24 hours in the day, of which 8 of which we are hopefully sleeping. The computer is not like that. So to be able to push as a human so much through with this marginal cost of tokens, we probably need to be able to manage our time better.
Of course. You know, this is basically the thing that doesn't let me get rid of the this orchestrator idea and my attempt to create one for myself is the fact that like every day when I don't have enough time to go on with the projects I have, I'm thinking that I'm wasting it because not because I'm not doing it, because agents don't do it at the same time. So like this is my one of the main motivation to do this, because from time to time there are some errands to do, and every time I'm thinking, especially I a kind of maybe too disciplined person, so I have a kind of calendar of like concentrated work. So I just put it when I do something like really putting all the attention there, like coding. So when I see that there is a gap of like 2-3 days because I was busy with something else, I'm thinking it's like 3 days when these agents could do some work, maybe shitty work, but still some work. And I need them to do. And I was working recently on this, and I came up with the idea of maybe I should just start with a very basic system, having a kind of background agent with a wrapper around it, like made up API, because Cursor don't have API for background agents, to start and stop it, and a kind of database of all the attempts with whatever metrics I can imagine to gather from it, like how many tokens did it spend, how much time did it spend, how did it pass test, how many iterations around test did it have, what else, I don't know, whatever comes to mind. And at the same time, on the other side of it, I have some kind of PRD, which can be decomposed in whatever amount of layers.
Maybe for the viewers, product requirement document, like basically requirements.
Requirements, yeah, exactly. So I have like a description. Actually, this can be easily transferred to other domains. It's not mandatory to use this approach only in software development. I think you can move it to like creating a scientific article or making a research. The idea is basically the same. You have a very proactive, non-sleeping, quiet, quick, but a little bit stupid and very bad at evaluating its own results in a broader perspective agent. And you have some kind of task description, and you have some way of measuring it. So for software development, it's requirements, tests, and agents. So I think that what I can do is create just another agent, like evaluator agent, and like a coder agent. So this evaluator agent, it runs tests and it evaluates the results based on whatever other metrics we can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And we have an orchestrator, like another supervising agent that define the whole work. So we start with the highest level of our requirements decomposition, and we feed it to agent. We take a look at what it produced.
Yes.
If it's not okay, we don't try to iterate over it. We just stop it and take one level down.
Mm-hmm.
We get it back to agent and feed it with it. We we evaluate it. If it pass, good. We go on with this level of detailization based on what we have in our database. If not, we're going one level down. I'm really waiting for this time when I want to just maybe turn on or off the whole system based on either my wish to do it or maybe some metrics like how much money did it burn, because it can easily burn a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously. But I'm waiting for this time when I can see not just one report from background agent that I started, but like multiple reports.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the main point for me.
I want to do a cross section with one of our last topics. It's called fluid intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And we will go deeper into it also in the regards to the topic of how to measure that, and how, for example, François Charlotte tries to measure it through the benchmark series of ArcAGI. But just to make the parallel here, I think that systems, as you just described, they can be very good at reducing the actual problem of building to a more algorithmic approach of reasoning your way to a viable solution. But you said yourself that it can cost a lot.
Yeah.
And I think here a human still has such a big role, as we are in many ways better in intuitively understanding if a situation is viable or not.
Yeah.
To be able to use common sense. I'm not saying give machines common sense. I'm saying that here still the common sense of the human is cheaper as to teach the machine common sense.
Probably. But what are we moving to, I think, in general in agentic software development is to increasing this level of autonomous working of agents from like maybe a few minutes now. That's the best, in my experience, which you can rely on. Like if it works for 2, 3, maybe 5 minutes, it produces something viable. If it works longer, usually it produces lots of beautiful bullshit. It's often beautiful. Like I don't remember who was it. It was quite a long time ago, a few months ago. But it was saying that I ran some kind of this agents in fully autonomous mode, and it built a beautiful application, but nothing worked there. I had my own experiment of this. So if we move from several minutes to, like, let's say even like tens of minutes, it will be a huge impact, because it changed the way you work with it, and it changed the level of abstraction you can work with, and changing this level of abstraction give you an opportunity to much broader audience, much broader amount of professionals who are not so much into tech to work with this software. So it redefined the whole landscape of software development, because you no longer need people to be deep into tech part.
Yeah, it's not only about software development, it's more like the kind of abstraction we currently are using for software development is, as you described earlier, very much specific to how software is written. But there's a general theme behind it. the whole planner idea, you called it coder, evaluator, and orchestrator. You can call it orchestrator, evaluator, and builder. It could be whatever. You could have a system where a whole, I don't know, project in Adobe Photoshop or something like this is built, right? In a way that a human can continue with it. Because I think what's so powerful about all of this is that it integrates in the systems which already exist. I think one of the main reasons why we're using, for example, agents the way we do right now is not necessarily because it's the best way to do it with agents. It is the way which is has the least friction for human professionals to interact with it and integrate with it. That's a for me counterintuitive thing. I was thinking, for example, about UI development a lot.
Okay.
And I see from different directions people trying to argue and justify the existence of GUIs, like graphical user interfaces, but they never were talking about whether the building of GUIs would be the same as today, or whether this would be a generic process, like a generative process in the background. Maybe you could just like render or generate a GUI on demand, right? Or like how Elon Musk recently tweeted that he thinks that obviously phones will be some edge device, like transmission devices for edge computation of inference on some nodes in the network, which basically says, hey, you just receive pixels and audio. There is no system in the background to actually do something.
Yeah, I love your metaphor of dreams of machine.
Dreams of machines. Yeah, exactly. Like we were talking about that earlier. Yesterday, I think, right? Or
doesn't matter.
That you basically like living through that dream or hallucination of that machine, and on the other hand, we also as a society become the environment of that machine, right?
Yes.
So that we're dreaming each other's dreams. It's very romantic, but also a bit scary, to be honest.
I love this proliferation of machines and humans in the way it's happening. It's in many ways have much more detailed and a little bit maybe poetic way of happening, not like it was described in different cyberpunk ideas of the past, when you have like literally physical augmentation for people, the computer inside their brains, like whatever, like in Matrix, like in Cyberpunk 2077. But in a way we think, and in a way that LLM is a kind of, you may say it's a kind of reflection of people's mind, people's thinking.
How do you mean that?
It's basically it's trained on product of human thought. So it's a way to aggregate all the knowledge that we have, whatever we call knowledge. And like we talked before about LLM being a kind of a very good packed way of some kind of semantic space, depending on what it was trained on.
Yeah.
So if we think a little bit further and say that semantic space is, in these terms, it's a product of aggregation of like bunch of texts produced by humans. So it reflects us in this way.
You know,
and we are interacting with our own reflection.
Exactly. You remember when we were talking about exactly this, and I think we were exploring the idea how an LLM would behave if you train it on only English from the 18th century.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. I mean, you could probably, that's the thing, you would have an LLM decoder only generative model for that time, one for now, and then you use the transformer, the OG one, the one intended for translation between those times. And then you can talk to the
You mean
old
recreate,
you can talk to the old times, but in the present words, and you can discover what the characteristics are of each time.
if you can talk, in the same way as the language evolves with the way you think. Like they say that in ancient Greek, they had a lot of medial voice, which means that something happened without a subject. Like
What do you mean by that? Medial voice? What is it?
there is
What is
active voice, passive voice. Active voice when I do something.
You mean in
like,
literature or
in language?
in language? Okay.
Like active voice is I do something.
Yeah.
Passive voice is like I was told, so someone did
Yeah,
something
yeah.
over me.
Okay.
And this medial voice, it's that something happened by itself. Like it's
Oh.
I think I'm not sure about English, but probably like it's raining.
Okay.
I'm not sure if there is a form like this in English at all.
Yeah.
But this means that it doesn't have a subject.
Yeah.
And it's a very different way of looking at the world. So what I wanted to say is that maybe for 18th century England it wouldn't be such a huge difference, but probably maybe some period in human history that if you would have enough texts to recover the language of that time, you wouldn't probably understand this recreated person in some ways, because not because it has a different language, but because it has because they have a different way of thinking.
Yeah. One question I have there is like we're talking about that, different way of thinking and different kind of language. Oops, maybe that's the. Well, I was attacked by an insect. Maybe these are different things, but also the question is, if like we can maybe not recover the antique.
Yeah.
We don't have enough content. We can recover 2023.
Easy.
Right? So now in 20, 30, 50, 100 years, is it actually real recovering we're doing, or are we already in a feedback loop that this technology is influencing language so much that there is a evolving blob more than distinct generations?
Likely the later, because it's the same like memories, because if you have some memory you were thinking about, you discovered it at some point from like your childhood, and then you refer to it over and over throughout the years, it starts changing a little bit because it's no longer the original memory.
Yeah.
And this is what was proven by neurobiologists, that if you get back to the same memory, it activates not the very same neurons as it were. So it matters not how many time passed from the memory, but how many times did you get back to it, because the more you get back to it, the more you change it.
Yeah.
Because it began to
You
be
rearrange
adjusted. It becomes adjusted for circumstances of the time when you recalled it.
Of course. You actually make that same memory richer.
Thing.
Yeah, no, I think that is foundational to actually how we think and how thoughts for us are more the associations than they are one particular event.
Yep.
It's like when we think about memories, it's about what we connected with more than about the memory itself. It's very interesting because it's also how humans value things. The people with which we have memories are the protagonists of the events, not the memories themselves.
Of course. At some point I had an idea that, which by itself may be a little bit strange, that if you think about your memories more as a fact, then you would be split it in many different entities.
Yeah.
which can be connected only by emotions that happened throughout the time and which evolved always in a smoother way. And then you become whole.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like a number of different stories not interconnected in any way.
It's when I look around and I see all these plants, it's for me the metaphor would be that memory is a leaf. Picking it from the tree does change everything about it. Like looking at one memory particularly without understanding the tree is impossible. Like like me going to school, you going to school are two different pairs of shoes, two different people. Even though the same context.
100%.
Yeah.
But we're running out of time.
We're running out of time.
Not out of time.
No, but out of light.
Running out
Can
of
you
time.
like face ID yourself? I just want to, as a last topic, we can maybe very quickly run over it.
Sure.
I wanted to wrap up a bit the topics on a high level, because I personally found it very beautiful. If you want, you can. Okay. I found it very beautiful how they are all relevant, the topics, and how they're interacting with each other. So I just wanted to go into the topics and also highlight a bit maybe gaps we had and stuff maybe you guys want to answer. Your opinions are obviously valued by us still, before agents replace them. But until then, we were talking about preference cocoons, right? And how agents feed us what we want, how we are being pampered by our own likings. What happens to us? In which direction do we grow? What role do we take in? What is human identity if this friction also disappears? We're talking about general intelligence or fluid intelligence, and how intelligence is more a question of the problem statement than it is about finding the right answer. We were talking about autonomy. We were pretty pragmatic with it about where we want to use autonomy in the workflow, but I think it's generalizable. So if you have also thoughts to share about it, feel free. And we also mentioned the whole concept we coined, I hope we coined it, otherwise it's intellectual theft, Homo non-faba.
Homo non-faba.
Yeah, the introduction to the non-productive human. Post-productivity human, sorry.
Sounds like a title of the paper.
Yeah, I think it's going to be it's going to be a great topic.
Yeah, we should make it with an LLM and send it to some big
Archaeology of Now white paper coming soon.